How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another Bitcoin update. And wow, the historical moment where everything changes is about to occur. All I'm simply waiting for is a closure above the macro 886 fib, which is $104,600 to be specific. But as you can see, if we zoom in into that area, we've actually already got a close above that level. The very next day, it went back under. Now, when we get a breakout, what I want to do is mark out the highest wick of the breakout. And all I want to see for confirmation of the breakout is follow through. So a daily candle, not necessarily the direct next day, although it would be incredible if we could do it the next day. But in the following days, attempt to close above this and actually do so. So there was an attempt here. With that new wick, I now am more interested in that because we've set a new high and rejected a new level. So 105.7k. It's this 1k area or so over here between the 886 and this wick. So simply waiting for a daily candle close above that level. If we zoom into this area on the 1 hour time frame, I can place some fibs on this dump and you can see we're coming into resistance, the 786 and 886. So look at where the 786 is lying with. It's the macro 886. So it's this small area over here, more specifically 104.6k, keeping us bearish, giving this rejection. On the break of 104.6, we're looking at 105.7 to get broken already. So this is already an early enough signal. It's just like a precursor. By breaking this, see, previously it came back under it. So we want confirmation of support. If we break it one more time, it will be support. So because we've already weakened the resistance, the next time we'd break through it, it becomes support. So shouldn't see a loss of 104.6k and then should follow and break 105k. This has extreme consequences because now I will have a completely different outlook on the market. I will be expecting new all-time highs. We've got some micro targets over here. And if we quickly, before we talk about these more macro targets, I've already discussed them in previous videos. We're looking at 120, 140 and 160. But let's dive back into this micro area. We can see the highest Fibonacci over here, 112 to 113k. This is interesting. Stay with me for a moment. I'll zoom into the 4 hour. And we've also got some resistance here at 109k. That is the previous all-time high. So once that previous all-time high is cleared, we're going to shoot up into 112, 113. Keep a hold of that information. So breaking 104.6, summarizing it, will lead to a further pump into 105.78k. By breaking that, we're targeting the previous all-time high, which could be an area of resistance as the micro fibs would complete the first targeted area. So we've also got the 1618, 109k, lining up with the macro, the actual all-time high, 109k. By breaking that, we shoot up into 112, 113. This is interesting because if I were to show you the Bitcoin pound chart, maybe it doesn't matter to you, but I'm from the UK and I just found some interesting points with this. So if we look at the Bitcoin USD chart, if I get rid of this quickly, we can see we're at the 886. However, on the Bitcoin pound chart, we're actually just hovering the 618 and 65 as support. So this is actually still telling me I should expect a further move up into 81 to 85,000 pounds. And if that's the case, well, it needs to be pumping on the dollar chart, shouldn't it? So that would mean having to pump to the all-time high or slightly above. So going back to the pound chart, my expectation would be 81 to 85k. And now on the US dollar chart, I've got these micro fibs telling me the next targets and one lining up with the previous all-time high. Let's now go and check the conversion rate of pound to dollar. So as you can see over here, 85,000 pounds would be $113,000. That would be the final 2414 fib. And 81,000 pounds would be 107. So that literally takes us, if we zoom back in again, get rid of this now, because we know it was 81,000, 85,000 pounds. And if we zoom back in on the 4 hour now, we can see the micro targets are calling for around those levels between 107 and 113. But I'll be looking more towards 109 to 113 because 109 is the previous all-time high. By breaking out of this 886, 104.6, getting a daily candle close above this, by breaking it this time, it should now be support because we've already seen a rejection of resistance. It's say, hey, we've confirmed it as resistance. The next time it's actually looking to break through it, any dump back down into it should be support. And so the next target would be the next macro fib level. So it makes sense for Bitcoin to shoot up to 109 and then 113. This is where, going back to the Bitcoin pound chart, Bitcoin would get up to the 786 and 886 by that point. And that's very important because historically, and just looking at this previous top that we've just had, there have been false higher highs, and I really don't want that to eventually be the case, because if you've been following my videos for quite a while, I was saying very early on, as we started rising back up to the highs, that this is a major level of resistance. But now that we see that on the pound chart, there's still room for it to get into this area, it could be that Bitcoin actually puts in a new all-time high very slightly, and we don't want it to actually fall back underneath, because there'll be great risk on a move up like that we could fall back and lose the trend once again and go on something like that. This whole move up being a fake out. So we have seen similar things. Again, we put a high here and then a new all-time high right there. And then we have seen similar things in the past. Here there was a range. This is a more micro version, but we set a high and then we went higher and then lower, swept the lows. But once the lows were recovered, the support was reclaimed, you have another go breaking the resistance, it continued. But another example here is we climbed all the way back up, recovering all the moving averages, breaking out of the 886 as well, but actually not meeting the first macro target. What it did was just poke his head, made a new all-time high, and came back under the 886, 786. We really want it to be support, so a move like this would have been fine down into the 786 and then continuation higher. It did not use this as support, so it never created the reversal wave, and that's very key, guys, because that's the whole point of the strategy. We want not only the 886 to break, but for it to act as support. And you can see there was a lot of shenanigans over here trying to fool us, because it came back for support, held the 20. That's calling for new all-time highs, which came. Then you lost the 20. That's not a good sign. Then you lost this higher low. That's not a good sign. Then you lost the 786. These are all not good signs. Then you lost your first macro weekly low, and then that's not a good sign. I was already out of the market by that point, so really saved my ass in that moment many years ago. So we don't want similar incidents to happen now. That's why I'm worried looking at the BTC GBP chart. But at least I know in the immediate short term, if Bitcoin is to even climb to a new all-time high and come back down, obviously the best case I would want on a move back down is for this area to hold. I don't want something like this to happen. I much prefer something like that. If we were to see a move like this, personally, with how much this has gone up, without any real pullbacks, just sideways periods here, could just be doing the same thing before another move up into this area. I will take it step by step. I'm looking at 109 to 113 up ahead as the next area of resistance. I've been given this clue by the Bitcoin GBP chart, which is saying that actually, unlike the BTC USD, which is at already key macro resistance, potentially where this lower high forms for a move down like this, not suggesting that it will happen, but potential for that, because these targets actually do not become valid until we see this level broken. So that's why I would also like to see this same level broken on the BTC GBP chart. That is what's going to give me a lot more confidence that the market is safe again. However, already as the BTC USD, or USD specifically, is the world reserve currency, that's the chart that matters the most. This Bitcoin pound is just going to give me like further confirmation of my bias. So, and by getting up there in the first place, Bitcoin USD has to make a new all-time high. And by breaking out this level, these become valid as high as 160, in my opinion. Now, could it later develop, and could we be talking about higher than 160 in the future? Absolutely, there are higher price targets, but at the moment, I don't want to get too far ahead. This is a major area of resistance, but in a parabolic stages of the market, more irrational stage of the market where pullbacks is not as deep as you expect, then yeah, we could go up as high as 160 in one move, maybe sideways, and then higher, just like that. Just because we're in an irrational moment in the market, the last final stages of the bull cycle. That's it from me today, guys. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. I'll update as we approach 109 to 113k, where Bitcoin gets to £85,000. Again, we should be at a new all-time high in terms of USD. My hope is that by that point we don't actually get rejected and fall lower, because that could actually signal this area rejecting. At that point we need this 75k pounds to hold, and that would be 100 to 104k to hold for continuation high, just like that. Now take us to £100,000. Oh my goodness, absolutely crazy. That's it from me today. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Really appreciate it if you could bump up the algorithm. If you want to get educated, check out the link in the description. I set up a new website. If you want to sign up to become a member, it's the Discord membership here. I also do weekly live Q&As in there as well to help you, mentor you in any way possible. I'm actually giving out one free 30-minute one-to-one session with anyone that signs up over the next week. Thank you so much. Cheers.